Okay, welcome to UCHL. It's 4 days for the first media luncheon of the year. Players are defensive end Alton Voss, quarterback Bart Williams, and head coach Matt Mitchell in the middle. Grand Valley State moved up to number 2 in the AFCA rankings this week, behind Northwest Missouri State. And Marty Carter has been named the GLIAC Offensive Player of the Week after gaining 144 yards on 9 carries and catching 1 pass for a touchdown and 2 yards. So, Coach, if you can open it up with some comments on the Lake Erie game, then we'll move on to Northern Michigan.
You bet. Appreciate everyone being here. Obviously got off to a great start on Saturday night. I thought we had a great week of practice. Our guys were really locked in throughout the course of the week with their preparation. The opening run, I thought we called a power play, and Martavius got to the second level, made some guys miss, and scored a touchdown. I think that was really important for our entire team, but I mentioned to her in our team meeting yesterday that was extremely important for our offensive line. Once Marty broke through and he's going to score a touchdown, he saw a lot of emotion out of our offensive linemen, which I think is very important. That's a group that week one, obviously, we knew we needed to make some improvement, and they, came out and played better. We made improvements from week 1 to week 2, and played with a little bit more emotion, a little bit more nastiness in that game. So, felt like our offense did make improvements overall. Week 1 to 2 is what you want. I thought we were sharper and crisper at the wide receiver position. Our quarterback, Bart, played well. I think we're continuing to be explosive. We value explosivity on our offense. We had some explosive runs. If you look at where Bart's at right now, he obviously has 23 completions, and he's averaging almost 19 yards per completion, which is what we want to be. So just based on the game he doesn't have as many attempts as probably last year, but that's just more based on what's best interest of our team and how things are going. And obviously, extremely excited that we have not turned the ball over yet. We're playing disciplined football too. We had 2 penalties in the opener, 2 penalties on Saturday night with our starters, so that was good. And then the defensive first unit has not given up a touchdown yet. They've been flying around. They've been very active, been very aggressive. We were able to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback with our 4 defensive linemen that were in the game, with not a lot of pressures from our linebackers. And until the second unit came in, we really didn't give up any big plays at all. So still like to try to see us be a little bit more opportunistic defensively, get a few more turnovers. We had some opportunities to do that. We need to continue to harp on that. But we're playing fast. We're playing aggressive. We're getting after opposing quarterbacks here the first couple games. So special teams-wise, our coverage units are performing well. Both our kicker, Joel Skipper, and our punter, Dan Madden, have been performing well and giving our defense great field position, especially our kickoff team. We need to get better at our 2 return units. Our 2 return units are not good enough. We got to get our 2 returners, Matt Williams and Christian Lumpkin. We got to get them free, and a lot of it has to do with some technical stuff and some fundamentals that got to get cleaned up with the guys in front of them. But obviously made the decision up 42-0 at half to pull off the starters, so we didn't have a single starter or a key contributor play in the second half, which allowed for a lot of opportunities for the next level of guys to step in and play. And so there were some bright spots. If you look at our defensive unit, we give up 6 explosive plays for the entire game, 3 of them with our first unit and 3 of them with our second unit. So I thought our second unit, besides the 1 pass play we gave up and led to a touchdown, we were pretty stingy on the defensive side of the ball, even with that second unit. I think some guys had some opportunities to make some plays and make an impression and took advantage of it, and others did not. So we'll continue to work on that. Offensively, we want to make a really concerted effort, not just to have Ollie go in there and just hand the ball off or keep it himself. So we call a lot of our passing game. I thought he actually threw the ball well. Some of them we didn't hook up on, but the balls were thrown well. The thing that's got to be a little better, we have to continue to get better at some of the game management at the quarterback position with Ollie. And then, we got to do a little bit better job up front protecting him. We had a couple 7-man protections called, and he got hit. That should never happen. So a lot of learning experiences. I mean, we're coaching hard in the second half. I think all of our guys that were not playing, who had played the first half, did a great job being engaged with a lot of their peers that were on the field and trying to coach them up. And we had a great film session yesterday where we came in and tell the truth Sunday, and we told the truth about the tape. So one of the hallmarks of this program since I've been here 13 years has been progress throughout the course of the season, progress over perfection. And hopefully we have a group, and we'll continue to preach it from the head coach on down, of making sure that we have some edge to us in terms of our approach, have some edge in our the way we attack everything. So that'll be no different this week. Today is the guys' days off. We'll come in and watch some tape on their own, and then we'll get after it tomorrow. I think the unique thing about the number of repetitions that were played on Saturday, we can go out on Tuesday and have a great practice, a full practice as we prepare for Northern Michigan. So fortunate to be home for the third week in a row. Had a great crowd on Saturday. A lot of students came out with the blackout. It's family day at home at Lubber Stadium. The weather looks good. I'll invite everybody to come out. We're going to face a team that's played 2 overtime games. They're 1-1. Have had opportunities, to obviously win the game on Saturday against Angelo State, the triple overtime game. Shea Brown has been a very prolific passer. He's set a lot of Northern Michigan records. He's in his senior year. Has a quick release. He can throw it east and west with some sidearm action. He also throws it over the top down the field. I think that they're breaking in some new receivers. They lost a few of the receivers from last year. And they've probably in both these games, got off a little bit slower start offensively, but once they've kind of hit their stride, you can see the explosive ability of their offense on tape. And we certainly look back to 2015 with same quarterback and same play caller. You can see the explosive nature of their offense last year and what it's able to do. So unique challenge for us from that perspective. Last week it was more of a little bit of an option-based attack, and there wasn't quite the number of reads for the quarterback for Lake Erie as there will be from Northern Michigan. I think he can work the field. He can work the boundaries, short throws, screens, throwing the ball down the field. It's going to put a lot more pressure on our defensive backs than there has been, last week. It's going to be a little bit different style. But I do hope that the first 2 weeks we've played, offenses that have run a lot of 10 personnel, a lot of 4 wide receivers, and hopefully there's some carryover for some of our defenders. It's a similar personnel group, a little bit different schematically, but some similar things that they try to do to spread you out and space you. For our offense, I think probably the biggest challenge for offense is just a little bit with a new defensive coordinator. They brought a new defensive coordinator, figuring out how their defense is going to want to try to attack us and, try to help prepare our kids. We have, limited tape. None of the 2015 tape is going to be applicable for offensive staff or offensive players. We're going to have to rely on these first 2 games. And there are some things Angelo State did that do have applications, but the other team, Lake Erie, is not quite as applicable. So it will be a challenge for that. I think even though we're into Game 3, I think players and coaches on the offensive side of the ball are going to have to be ready to make some adjustments. And I do feel like the strength of Northern Michigan is up front with their defensive line. And we got to run the ball, we got to protect the passer. That's going to be really critical. So looking forward to this challenge for us. It's another league game. It's very unique for us here. We start off with 3 straight GLIAC opponents and getting into league player way. So this is a team we have not played in the previous 2 seasons, and so be a new opponent for a lot of our players on our team have never played Northern Michigan. That's a good thing. It's a good thing for our fans, a good thing for our program. A different set of challenges so we can continue to grow and develop in 2016. Questions?
Coach, you're going to play a team this week that went to overtime with Lake Erie 38-35. Lake Erie, a team we had 42-0 at halftime. Just having said that, what's your confidence level heading into this week?
Well, I was going to bring up that point earlier, Bo. I'm glad that you said it. You have to be careful with common opponents. I think that's a fallacy a lot of people fall into. I don't like the comparable score thing. I hate that. Venues are different. Personnel is different. Styles of offense and defense are completely different. So, I think there probably may be some people outside of our building that may jump to conclusions given the fact that our common opponent was Lake Erie College here in the first 2 weeks, but our staff will not make that. And obviously, hopefully, our players do not make that mistake also. So we're well aware of their explosivity on offense. We have respect for how they can get the ball out of his hands quick and how they have some playmakers on the perimeter. And like I said, I think they have younger playmakers that are gaining experience as the season goes on. That's probably the biggest difference between 15 and 16 is some of the wideouts out on the edge. They have some new faces on the edge. So the challenge is the quarterback and the experience and the proficiency at that position for Northern Michigan.
Coach, with 3 home games to start the season, how important is it to go ahead and get the 3-game sweep and then go on the road?
Well, I mean, when you have expectations of Grand Valley, every game is important. We say that all the time, like, this meeting is the most important meeting of the year. This press conference is the most important press conference of the year because it's the next one. And that's how we feel about this game. That's the sense of immediacy that we have. So this is the most important game for Grand Valley, is the one coming up, and we try to stay true to that. And a lot of people may think that's a bunch of coaching cliches and pie in the sky type language, but I believe it, and I really do believe it, that it's the task at hand. We're always looking out the windshield. That's what's immediately in front of our face, and even the game itself is a little bit further out there than Tuesday's practice. So it's critical. I mean, we have high expectations here. We have high expectations for personal performance. And that will be no different Saturday than it was the last couple Saturdays, and be no different hit week 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and no assumptions beyond that. I mean, this is a critical game. They're all critical.
Bart, what do you think of your play so far through 2 games?
I feel like I've done a good job running the offense, and just instilling confidence maybe in the other 10 guys on the field, which was different than last season in the first 3 games especially. Not turning the ball over, and that's something I'm very proud of, and hopefully we can continue with good ball security and take care of the football as a whole offense going down the road. I think I'm just trying to play my position, and like Coach Mitch mentioned earlier, only 23 completions, and people might think more than that, but that's what's being called, and that's what we're going to do, and we're winning games and we're scoring points, and if that's what we got to do, keep handing it off to Martavius and Terrell. They're doing a great job, and you know what my number is called, make a play.
Coach, Matt Williams has 3 receptions for 59 yards through the first couple of games. Is that a product of just how the first 2 games have gone, or is there another reason for that?
I think there's a lot of factors. Like anything, there's no one answer to that. I think, first of all, we have depth at the receiving core. Erston Smith, you talked to anybody in our building, Erston Smith had a great fall camp. He earned the right to play. I think Brandon Bean is healthy. We didn't have him for a stretch of the season last year, and Erston wasn't around as much, and Potts is banged up, and Williams was, the go-to guy because he was healthy. So we have depth at the positions. Nick Dotson last year didn't play a whole lot early and came on now. Now he's a lot more confident. And Matt's right there. I don't view it as a number 1, a number 2, a number 3, a number 4, a number 5 receiver. We view it as a unit. Matt is an important part of that unit. He's an important part of that wide receiving core. And, we look to try to attack defenses with all of them. We place Matt Williams to the field at our X position a little bit more, and sometimes the throws that are available to Matt might be dependent a little bit more of what the defense has given us on a specific down. The first game, we targeted him on a couple things, and for a variety of reasons, we didn't hook up quite as much. Based on the style of defense that they were playing last week, there was a little bit more availability for some of our boundary receivers to make some plays. And then, obviously, there's been a factor too, Bo, with how the games have gone down. Due to us getting out to good leads and those things, we haven't had to sit back and had Matt Williams, throw it all over the yard like we maybe had to do last year in a couple of situations. So I am not concerned, by the number of repetitions by Matt at all. I think hopefully they all understand, he understands that it's a receiving core, and they're going to get it done together. And it's been a product of how the games have gone down these first couple games more than anything, in my opinion.
Hey, Alton, if you would address your play. I know you've only played 1 game, but your play, and then also the progress of the defense.
It was my first game back. I felt comfortable. I was just waiting to get back on the field Saturday. I go out there and just do what I'm told, and I just make sure have my eye on my visual key, and then when there's movement, I'm doing what I need to do. So the coaching staff, they put me in position to make the plays, and when opportunity presents itself, I just make sure I take advantage of that. And then our defensive line, we're playing really well. We have some guys up front who have experience, and we have depth. If I have to come out, I can rely on Dylan Carroll or Sidney, and same thing goes for the inside. So, we have a lot of depth and experience, and, guys can make plays.
Coach, a lot was made of the Central Michigan end of the game. What goes through your head when you're trying to kill a clock or something of that nature at the end of a game, and how do you go about practicing that?
Well, it's a great point. We actually talked about on our team meeting on Sunday, we went through some scenarios that we had seen in the previous – I had seen, kind of looking at some highlights and stuff and seeing things on Twitter. again, I'm not going to probably get into too much details, but there's probably a way that some of those teams that made some of those errors could have handled those situations probably a little bit better. That's part of the job of the coaching staff, is to make sure that you have those contingency plans in place to handle those specific situations. And we discussed that with our team on Friday. We go through what's called a bench control script, and there are some unique situations that may never occur in 2016, but if it happens once, it'll happen at a critical time, and we need to have a plan for those situations. I think the other thing that we've gotten much better at is with our 2-minute drill. We've done a lot of work and research the past couple years with different people, and have brought in some visiting coaches and talked about clock management and those things. And we practice 2-minute in fall camp, and we practice it every Thursday. We do a 2-minute drill, and we have a formula and an identity of how we want to try to get that done. And we haven't had one of those yet this year, but at some point we'll probably have a 2-minute drill. So those are things that you have to be ready for. And luckily, I think I've been around some good coaches. I work for a guy named Rick Willis, who's very detail-oriented, and Chuck Martin. I've been an assistant for guys that understand those situations, and I think being a head coach for 7 years, we faced some of those situations, and it's important that you have a knowledge bank. You can't, on the sideline, you can't whip out an encyclopedia of football to make an adjustment on there. You got to have a little bit of savvy and feel on the sideline. I think our staff and myself have been in some of these situations, so I think we have a good feel of what positions to put our kids in, and a lot of that has to be just based on experience.
Okay, it's Family Day this week, and that will conclude today's media luncheon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.